Okay, let's unpack this. There's some texts that they feel timeless, don't they? They speak to these fundamental human dilemmas with such clarity.
Absolutely, like anchors in a sea of confusion sometimes.
Exactly. And today, we're diving deep into one of those monumental conversations, the Bhagavad Gita.
A truly profound one.
So picture this, a massive battlefield, two huge armies ready for war, and then Arjuna, this renowned warrior, he's just hit by this wave of moral distress, emotional turmoil.
Yeah. He sees everyone across the field, teachers, grandfathers, friends, relatives, and he just freezes, paralyzed.
And he turns to his charioteer for guidance, who, well, happens to be Lord Krishna himself.
Right. So this isn't just some ancient war tale. It's the setting for this incredible dialogue about, well, existence itself, duty, spiritual liberation. And what's really striking looking at our sources is the context. This wasn't written in some quiet study somewhere.
No, it's happening right there in the middle of a crisis.
Yeah.
A deeply personal one.
Exactly. And the author's intention, it's stated very clearly, is to present the Gita as it is. No adulteration.
Right, to get across the actual mission of Kian, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not just what some mundane speculators might think.
Like politicians or philosophers, yeah. So this deep dive, we're aiming to guide you through the Gita's purpose, what it says about the self, and the path to, real self-realization, as it was meant to be understood.
Okay, so let's try and step into Arjuna's sandals for a second. Our sources paint a pretty intense picture of his state, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Physically and emotionally. It says his whole body is trembling.
Yeah, hair standing on end, his famous bow, the geva.
Which is like his whole identity as a warrior.
Right, it's slipping from his hand, his skin is burning, it's a total breakdown.
A complete internal collapse, right there on the verge of battle.
And it's triggered by this thought of destroying his own family. He's worried about the destruction of dynasty, the loss of eternal family tradition.
He thinks it'll lead everyone into irreligion. It's a deep fear.
He even says it, alas, how strange it is, that they're about to commit great sins just driven by, greed for royal happiness? To kill their own relatives?
It's an agonizing conflict. His duty as a warrior versus his love for his family, his sense of morality, it just clashes violently.
And this really brings up a huge question for all of us, doesn't it? What happens when our deepest attachments, our personal sense of right and wrong, smash right into some larger duty or purpose?
Yeah, it's universal. And Arjuna, totally bewildered, he surrenders. He says to Krishna, now I am confused about my duty.
Lost all composure because of miserly weakness. That phrase, miserly weakness, is interesting.
It is. He goes on, in this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. And our sources really highlight this. Life's big problems, these perplexities, they often need you to approach a bona fide spiritual master for real guidance. Arjuna shows that perfectly.
Okay, so this is where King starts to respond, and it gets really, really interesting. He shifts Arjuna's whole focus, doesn't he?
Completely. Away from the temporary body, towards the eternal. The foundational teaching is right there. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time.
He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
Wow. I mean, what does that really mean for how we see ourselves?
Well, think of it like this, as the sources explain it. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones.
Okay, yeah.
The soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones.
So the body is like clothing for the soul.
Pretty much. It suggests the real you isn't the body you're currently wearing. It's distinct. This soul, it's described as an atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit.
Atomic. So tiny.
Incredibly tiny. The text uses this image, 1/10,000th of the upper portion of the hair, just to give you a sense of how minute it is.
Wow.
But it's an eternal spark. That's the real you inside every living thing. And how do we, perceive this? Is there proof?
The Gita gives a direct way to understand it. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness.
Ah, so consciousness itself is the evidence.
Exactly. Without that spark, the body's just inert, lifeless. It's what animates us. And the sources also bring in the supersoul concept.
Right. The two birds analogy.
Yeah, two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One is us, the individual soul, eating the fruit of the tree, experiencing the world, the good and bad. And the other bird is Kanel, the supersoul, simply watching his friend, observing, guiding, sanctioning.
That understanding seems well, foundational. It changes how you view loss, doesn't it?
Absolutely crucial, because it leads to this realization there is no cause for lamentation for anyone when it comes to the body being lost or destroyed.
Because it's temporary anyway, like clothes.
Exactly. Once you grasp that the real self, the soul, is eternal, separate from this perishable body, it kind of frees you, doesn't it? From all the anxiety tied to our physical form, even the fear of death.
Okay, so if the self is eternal, how does that fit into the bigger picture? The Gita then lays out these 5 core subjects, right? Like an operating manual for the cosmos.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, 5 core truths. Eshava, the Supreme Lord. Jiva, the living entity that's us. Prati, material nature. Kala, eternal time. And karma, activity.
Why these 5 specifically? What's the significance?
Well, the distinction between them is key. Right. You see, the Lord, Eshava, the living entities, Jiva, material nature, Prati, and time, Kala, they are all eternal.
All eternal. Okay.
But material nature, Prati, while eternal in essence, its manifestation is temporary, like clouds in the sky.
Oh, okay. The clouds come and go, but the sky and the potential for clouds remain.
Exactly. But here's the twist. Karma, our actions and their consequences, karma is not eternal.
Right. That's the big difference.
Yeah. We might be, as it says, suffering or enjoying the results of our activities from time immemorial, but, and this is crucial, the perfection of our knowledge can change those results.
So we're not just stuck with our karma forever. We can change its course.
Precisely. There's a way out of the cycle of action and reaction.
In the material world itself. What's its purpose in this framework?
Well, our sources explain that the whole material creation, which Vyu oversees, Vyu being another form of Kani here, it's actually a chance offered to the conditioned souls to come back home, back to Godhead.
Like a schoolhouse, you said.
Sort of, yeah. A place to learn and eventually return. The problem is our attachment to material existence.
And wanting to be in charge.
Exactly. That desire to lord it over material nature. That's what keeps us tangled up in this cycle of birth and death. We forget our real home because we get so caught up in trying to control and enjoy this temporary one.
Okay, so with this understanding eternal self, the cosmic setup, the chance to go back, the question becomes, well, how should we live? How should we act? Arjuna initially wanted to just stop acting, right? Run away from the battle.
He did. He thought renunciation meant just quitting, but kind of corrects him pretty quickly.
Yeah? What does he say?
He makes it really clear. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection.
So you can't just sit idly and expect liberation.
No, because action is inherent to being alive. The key isn't stopping action, but changing its quality, its purpose. The core principle is to work for the satisfaction of Vyu, for Kate.
Anything else, even good work,
becomes a cause of bondage if it's done for our own sake, for the results, because it still creates karmic reactions that keep us tied here.
So it's about why you're acting. It needs to be yayartat karmam, actions done for yanya, for vyam.
Exactly. And the sources give examples like King Janaka, a great ruler, and even Pencha and Arjuna themselves fighting in the battle.
They were doing their duty, even fighting, but why?
To teach people in general, to set examples. It's about performing your prescribed duties, whatever they are, but with that conscious connection to Kita, in Kate consciousness.
And that leads to liberation.
That leads to the liberated stage. It transforms the nature of the work itself.
And you mentioned something specific for our current age, Kali Yuga.
Yes. Because following all the intricate Vedic rituals is really tough now. The Gita and later teachings emphasize the Sakirtanayanya,
which is
the chanting of the names of God, specifically the hair kite mantra. Our sources say it goes well together with Ketur consciousness. It simplifies things, makes that connection accessible.
That makes sense. But even trying to act in this way, we run into internal roadblocks, don't we? The Gita talks about enemies within.
Oh, absolutely. It identifies lust only as the big one, the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world.
Lust, just sexual desire.
It's broader than that, really. It stems from contact with the material mode of passion, and then it can morph into wrath or anger when it's frustrated. It's a powerful drive for selfish enjoyment.
And where does it reside? How does it operate?
The Gita points to the senses, mind, and intelligence as its sitting place. From there, it bewilders us by covering knowledge. It clouds our judgment.
So how do we fight it?
By understanding the internal hierarchy. The Gita says, the working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
So use the higher principle to control the lower. Intelligence controls the mind, mind controls senses.
Exactly. You engage the intelligence, guided by scripture and spiritual understanding, to regulate the mind and prevent the senses from dragging you towards things driven by lust.
And this relates to the modes of nature too, right? Sattva, rajas, tamas.
Definitely. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. The Gita explains how these three modes are constantly competing and conditioning us.
Binding us in different ways.
Yeah. Goodness, sattva, can bind through attachment to happiness and knowledge, maybe a subtle pride. Passion, rajas, binds through intense activity, ambition, and greed. Ignorance, tamas, binds through darkness, delusion, madness, laziness, indolence.
It sounds like a constant internal battle.
It is, and it influences everything, our mood, our actions, our perception of happiness.
So how do we break free from these modes? Especially from that temporary happiness the Gita warns about.
Well, it points out that the happiness you get from the contact of the senses with their objects, it might seem like nectar at first, but it turns out to be poison at the end.
Can you give an example?
Think about any kind of sense gratification that seems amazing initially, maybe overindulging in something. It feels good for a moment, but the sources say it often ends in distress or lamentation, a hangover, regret, emptiness, that kind of thing.
Right, the poison after the nectar.
Exactly. So real freedom, real lasting happiness comes from going beyond these modes, transcending them, seeking spiritual happiness, which isn't dependent on temporary sense contact.
Okay, so transcendence is the goal. And where does that lead, ultimately? What's the final destination described?
Our sources talk about a supreme planet called Loka, also called Goloka Manavana.
A spiritual realm.
Yes, a place of eternal, blissful existence, completely free from all the material inconveniences. No birth, no death, no disease, no old age. It's depicted as the soul's true home, full of peace and joy.
And how does one get there? What's the path?
It sounds simple, but it's profound. Ka says, anyone who quits his body at the end of life remembering me attains immediately to my nature, and there is no doubt of this.
Remembering Kanat at the moment of death.
Yes, and the key to achieving that is practice. The Gita stresses constant engagement in devotional service. By always remembering me without deviation, Kinnan becomes easy to obtain.
So it's about cultivating that remembrance throughout life, not just hoping for a lucky thought at the end.
Exactly. It's a lifelong practice of connection.
And you mentioned chanting Hare Kint is the easiest way.
According to Lord Caitanya's teachings, highlighted in our sources, yes. Chanting Hare Kina, the great mantra for deliverance in all humanity. It involves constantly, incessantly chanting the Maha Mantra. It's presented as the most direct and accessible method for fixing the mind on Kaincha in this age.
That's quite encouraging. But what if someone tries, genuinely tries, but, well, they don't fully succeed in this lifetime? They stumble.
That's a really important point, and the Gita offers great reassurance. The unsuccessful transcendentalists, it says, they do not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. Their effort isn't wasted.
So what happens to them?
They get repeated opportunities. They might take birth in a family of transcendentalists, people already on the path, or in a situation conducive to developing great wisdom.
So every step forward counts, even if you don't reach the final goal immediately.
Absolutely. Spiritual progress is never lost. It's an enduring investment.
And this whole path, it really hinges on recognizing Kancha's position, doesn't it?
Yes, recognizing him as the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate source, the origin of all causes. As he says himself, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on a thread.
Seeing the divine everywhere.
Pretty much. He says he's the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the sacred syllable in the Vedic mantras. It's about developing that vision, seeing his presence underlying everything.
But not everyone accepts this, right? Why do some resist or misunderstand?
Well, the sources mention that the Gita describes certain mental states or conditions that act as barriers. People can be bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate.
Pulled between attraction and aversion.
Right. And the text uses strong terms sometimes, like miscreants, foolish, lowest among mankind, to describe the condition of being deeply illusioned, not necessarily as permanent labels for people.
So it's describing a state of ignorance or misdirection.
Exactly. A state where they might misunderstand Kant, maybe thinking he was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. This view comes from small knowledge, according to the Gita.
So true understanding requires more than just intellectual analysis.
It suggests it requires faith, an openness, a willingness to accept knowledge from the source, moving beyond just speculation.
Okay, so if someone does want to walk this path sincerely, what changes in them? What does a devotee start to look like?
The Gita gives a really detailed list of qualities that actually constitute true knowledge in practice. It's quite something.
Let's hear some of them.
Okay. It includes humility, pridelessness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master.
That connection again?
Yes. Then cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego.
Seeing through the ego.
The perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. Recognizing the temporary nature of material life. Detachment. Freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home. Not abandoning them, but not being unduly attached.
Right, a balanced perspective.
Even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events. Constant and unalloyed devotion to Meekanath, aspiring to live in a solitary place. Detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth.
Wow, that's a comprehensive list. It sounds like a huge undertaking.
It does, doesn't it? But here's the fascinating part. The Gita also says that if one takes to devotional service in full consciousness, the other 19 items automatically develop within him.
Really? So devotion is the key that unlocks the others.
That's the idea. It's not like you have to artificially cultivate each one separately, like checking off boxes. They naturally blossom as a consequence of sincere devotion. It's an organic development.
And this transformation, it can happen even within everyday life, within a family setting.
Absolutely. The sources suggest making your home life very happy through spiritual practices. Chanting haircut together, accepting food that's first been offered to Kana, Prasadam, discussing texts like the Gita, maybe having some form of deity worship. It's about consciously creating a spiritually supportive environment, turning mundane activities into devotional ones.
So making your home a sanctuary.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the importance of guidance. The role of a bona fide spiritual master is mentioned again as vital for cultivating knowledge.
To help navigate all this.
Yes, to provide proper guidance, ensuring you understand these deep truths correctly without getting sidetracked by misinterpretations. It helps ensure genuine progress.
So we've covered a lot today. From Arjuna's crisis on the battlefield, that moment of utter despair,
all the way to understanding the eternal soul, the cosmic setup, how to act consciously.
Right, action in Kani consciousness, battling inner enemies like lust, understanding the modes of nature.
And ultimately, the qualities that emerge on the path and the goal of reaching that spiritual abode.
It really is a complete journey, starting from confusion and ending in the highest wisdom.
And if you step back and look at the big picture, the Bhagavad Gita really offers this timeless, practical blueprint for realizing who you are.
Liberating us from the anxieties of just material life.
Exactly. Guiding us towards a life that's genuinely blissful, eternal in that spiritual realm. And the core method is surprisingly simple. Understanding, remembering, and developing love for Gita.
What really stands out to you listening to all this, maybe think about how connected our everyday actions are to our inner state, our consciousness.
Yeah. And how cultivating that pure consciousness, that Gita consciousness the Gita talks about, isn't just about individual transformation.
How so?
Well, the implication is that if individuals transform, society transforms. It could move us towards a more peaceful, purposeful, genuinely organized way of living together. That's the vision embedded in the Gita, isn't it? A society based on spiritual understanding.